yalla dili duli dalla dili.
He doesn't need Storm's no own feedback defense as Grubby's pulled out for perfect engagement. The Storm can bring down the Broodlord. He does have another Vortex available. Another feedback.
Oh my god.
Hello everybody and welcome to your Thursday evening entertainment. I'm Sean Paul Clark here at the Good Studio for the King of the Hill Heart of the Swarm $2,000 day number 2. We're giving away another $500 today. Day 1 happened a couple of days back on Sunday where The Muslim was our reigning king, beating down Grubby, who took 3 games in a row, won himself $375, and then The Muslim on the last game took the last win, and he will be our starting king today. But before we jump into how things are going to work today, I have once again my little assistant, Adabisi over there, who will be assisting with all things assistful.
Yep, doing the observing, hosting the games, helping out Apollo, correcting you, and
making sure I don't mess up.
making sure you mess up minimally.
Or making sure I do mess up.
No longer do I have a cat, unfortunately, but that's okay.
You didn't need the cat.
We don't need a cat.
I guess we do need the cat. We don't have whiskey. That's one thing we don't have. But I do, of course, because it is now England playing first. Have a cup of tea ready. The Brit in the corner. Yes. I'm an Englishman in New York. Just kind of chilling out because it's God Save the King Day. The Muslim is going to be our reigning king and will be continuing to fight on today. And we'll be going up against Millennium's Goswser. For you guys that don't know the format, it's a very simple King of the Hill format. We have The Muslim, who's currently the king, and we have 4 challenges set up today. The first one is Millennium's Goswser, who will be playing against him first. Second is going to be Mouse Sports Hasrobs, the German veteran. Third is going to be Quantic's new addition, Shun. And then finally, we have Azubu Supernova, the 9-time GSL KOTH competitor. So, back to game number 1. We have The Muslim versus Goswser. Adabisa, you were much more the goer for Goswser. You really wanted him to play.
What? I mean, I thought we should definitely get a newer player, someone who hasn't been around for ages like The Muslim. So we've got Goswser here, and he's had a really good streak recently, and he's training in Europe now. So it's kind of funny.
France.
It's kind of funny because The Muslim is the European training in North America, and now we've got Goswser, the North American training in Europe.
So who's going to win?
Who's going to win?
Predictions, come on. We did predictions last time.
I mean, I've been playing some TVZ. I've been proxying some Reapers, so I'm going to say The Muslim's going to take this one.
You think we're going to see some proxy Reapers from The Muslim? All right, well...
I don't know. I don't know if he'll do it, but if he does it, my prediction is hedged on him doing it. Otherwise, I think Goswser's going to win.
I haven't actually seen Goswser play Heart of the Swarm yet, so I'm quite interested to see how he's doing within the game. Of course, he had an amazing run towards the end of last year and the beginning of this year, in Iron Squid 2 specifically, where he was able to beat MMA MVP, unfortunately just before losing to StarTale Life in the quarterfinals. But I hear the game ticking, which means one thing. We're loading in. Game number 1 of the day here. Day number 2 at the Good Studio. The Heart of the Swarm King of the Hill series. It begins right here on Cloud Kingdom.
Maps it was actually, the maps are different. I did swap out Star Station for one of the GSTL maps.
Okay.
And this was also the Challenger picks. So Goswser went for Cloud Kingdom.
Okay. We saw it a lot of it last time. We're seeing it here again. So we have here in the top right, spawning as the Terran, it is the reigning king. It is EG's The Muslim. Benjamin James Baker, 23 years old, at The Muslim. And of course, the same information from last time. He did join EG a very long time ago in 2011. But down here is the challenger, the first challenger of the day. It is Millennium's Goswser, Michael Dobler. 20 years old, at Mill Goswser from KOTH Academy originally. An academy participant, a competitor down there, worked his way through the ranks, made it to the main team, and is now living in France with Millennium. What a love story that is.
Yeah, he actually kind of made his big break, actually beating Polt at MLG.
That's right.
Some good series there.
That's right. The Muslim says, My
His
PC,
PC
froze
froze
completely.
completely.
Can we restart? Say no.
Game paused.
I guess. All right, so victory winner is Goswser. So, of course, we had a bit of a technical issue. Hopefully, we have no connection issues whatsoever this time. I know a couple of you did experience it day number 1, but not for day number 2. So, we'll wait for that to get rolling before we jump into this game. And, well, I'm actually looking at all the players today at OAC. I'm looking forward to Hazobs the most, out of even the Koreans.
I know you've been watching the stream. I haven't really been watching the stream too much, so I'm excited to see him play. But I mean, you've kind of been hyping him up quite a bit.
I love
to
him.
me,
I think he's a great Protoss player in HotS Swarm. I really do. He's always had a good versus Terran. He's always had decent PvP because of the rivalry between him and Soke in Germany all the time. And his Zerg's looking really, really good as well. So I'm actually quite excited for this one. So chinny chin chin.
All right, we get the lobby back up. Let me see our players are ready, and then within the moment, we should be resuming game number 1.
We should do. We should do. So first game, of course, Cloud Kingdom. Loser does pick, not loser, the challenger does pick that one, which is Goswser. And we'll be jumping into the game right now. I can hear it loading, so let's go ahead and take this away. The new Heart of the Swarm lobby.
Yeah, and actually there's a Blizzard-made UI that I think we might try and get in here for the next day, possibly, if we can play with that. We'll see.
Sure. I did see some pictures on the video. It looks quite cool. Not as cool as you're observing, though.
No,
It's like Beauty and the Beast. You need both of them together.
That you do.
All right, so once again, we'll go ahead and just introduce these players very quickly. Down here, we do have, of course, the Muslim. He's the reigning king with just 1 victory so far in the King of the Hill series, but we'll see how far he can increase that today. And the challenger, day number 2, the first challenger of the day, it is Goswser. And we'll see what he can bring to the table here. Very excited, like I mentioned before, to see how he plays. I don't really know what he's going to be using here. Actually, looking into... actually, you are on the ball at the BC.
I was wondering because I saw it's 8 depot, right? And I was wondering, like, did he lag out, and so he sent out his SCV early by mistake? But no, this is very intentional here going forward. 8 depot.
So, yeah, I mean, he's going to be buying that barracks on the 3rd base of his opponent, or just behind the mineral lines there. And he's going to be using the fastest possible Reaper Rush in StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm. Not quite on the 3rd, a little bit down. So we are going to have a very explosive start, and I'm going to guess that good old Idra Greg Fields may have hinted something towards the Muslim and been like, hey, you know this one build that I can't beat.
That Marine King does every time to me, so I just leave the game.
Is Proxy Reapers. So, of course, in Heart of the Swarm, you don't need a Tech Lab addition onto the barracks to start building those Reapers. So as soon as he gets 50 gas, bam, first Reaper's going to come out. And we're going to see how well Goswser is going to deal with this. A lot of players have been opening up pool first. There's a lot of these kind of rushes that are coming out in Heart of the Swarm, which is why we're seeing pool first instead of hatchery first. We even see gas being taken relatively early. We've seen players, I think it was, who was it? Was it Curious against MVP? Who even opened up gas spawning pool very
Don
early.
Regu has been using that
Don Regu's done it as well. So a lot of players are anticipating Terrence because it's used so often. And we're about to see the Reaper at its full strength here. It's faster because it doesn't have a speed upgrade in this game. It regenerates now as well. And it is a pain in the bum to deal with. And the Muslim goes in and sees the spawning pool early. That means there's going to be a faster queen. There can be potentially faster lings, or should be. And they're even a gas because in the main base, look at this. In the main base, we actually see the drone going in there. I'm building a hatchery, and I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get speed and threw down a Roach Warren super early. Because not only will a Roach Warren defend his main base after the initial queen defense, not only then he can turn that defense into ultra aggression with this hatchery inside of Muslim's base, who has no idea about it. So this is going to be a firework display one way or the other. 2 lings are going to buy time here for the queen to come out, but the queen's still quite a way away. And
yeah, really, he just needs to buy time, though, for that queen and, of course, hatchery. And there's the Roach Warren, as you mentioned.
There it is. So we'll see how this works out. And I'm actually thinking this could work out rather well, as long as he doesn't lose too much early. We'll see if the Muslim even scouts the Roach Warren. He's seen the gas. Does he anticipate Roach Warren or Zergling speed to be made? He hasn't seen neither yet. There's only 1 queen and 6 lings coming. And the Muslim's going to get in there. It's going to take about 2 to 3 waves for both Reapers to kill a drone here, and more so to pick off a queen. But, well, with good micro, Demuslim's going to bring that low health one back, and then the green one's going to go in, and Demuslim's just going to wait for them to regenerate. 2 Reapers can't kill 1 queen, but they can definitely regenerate and come back in. But the Roach Warren's done. 130 gas in the back. Roaches have been made, and Demuslim sees the creep in his main base, and now it's time to start to panic. He's got to defend this.
Yeah, what is he going to do? I guess it looks like he wants to send his Reapers
Bunker at
home.
I don't know.
Reapers don't do a lot of damage to roaches.
No, they don't. So both 2 roaches in the aggressive hatchery and 2 roaches at the defensive hatchery, or the main hatchery. And, you know, this is a very swift counter, to be honest, to what he initially anticipated. He doesn't really want to get that roach surrounded. That would be the worst thing in the world. But the Reapers are coming back to defend, all 3 of them. And we're going to have to see the roaches target down these Reapers individually here. Good micro from Demuslim, though. Really nice micro here, keeping all those Reapers alive, because they are the damage output here. The SCVs are just buffering. And yeah, look at that.
So far, 3 kills so far, not bad. Taking a look at the worker count, 15 to 14. So, very low economy game right now.
Very, very low economy game. A queen is being made there, the creep spread. More roaches are popping. 3 roaches, that's going to be pain, because they're almost going to one-shot a Reaper, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, they do 16 damage.
Yeah, 2 volleys. Reapers now have 60 hit points, of course.
Okay, so 2 volleys. And it's going to be a lot harder for Demuslim to micro. He's losing a lot of SCVs here as well. Goswser takes a 16 supply lead in this game, 17 supply lead, 15 drones to 8 SCVs, and more roaches have been made. And if the economy stays the same for Goswser, he's going to keep on producing more and more units. And with a queen in there, if he saves energy, he can have a transfuse available. And he's going to be able to buffer a lot more because it has a lot of hit points on that queen. 175 hit points. Roaches coming from the main base as well. And Goswser, oh, look at that. Demuslim actually squeezes out a Widow Mine here. Demuslim, doesn't quite get the hit off. Oh, there it is. Oh, well, we're on Roach. Doesn't quite die there. Remember, it is 125 damage for the Widow Mine. The Roaches do have more hit points than that. And, well, the SCVs are running out.
I think he can just focus down SCVs, and it's going to be game over here. That's it.
He's got no income.
99 minerals and mules.
And
a couple units queued up.
Goswser. GG. The challenger, the underdog, takes game number 1 here against Demuslim. So Demuslim, the current reigning king, is now 0-1 behind, and it is a best of 3. Remember, this King of the Hill series is 4 different best of 3, so a flying start here for Millennium's new edition. How long has he been in Millennium now? It's been about 3 months?
Yeah, I want to say a couple months, like a quarter of a year, perhaps.
Quarter of a year?
Something like that, yeah.
Quarter?
Maybe,
okay.
something like that.
Okay,
so... It's been a little bit, though. But, I mean, before that, he was living in the Complexity House. I mean, Goswser's been, like, fully dedicated to StarCraft for quite some time now. But if that game was just kind of such a zany... That was kind of weird. Zany game.
That was weird. I remember meeting Goswser at MLG because he's one of the analysts with TriMaster and someone else. There was 3 of them. Was it QXC? Was QXC?
I know QXC has done it. Axelav did it at
I think it was Axelav. This was before Axelav joined MLG.
But Axelav was doing analysis before he fully joined MLG. So.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it was like Axelav. I'm pretty sure it was like Axelav, Goswser, and TriMaster. It was when I was in the New York offices. So anyway, back to the series. Now we're going to have to see if Demuslim, the Brit he is, the king, the prince, however you want to call him here today, challenging or trying to keep his reign as the king going. We'll see if he can do that against Goswser, because Goswser started really strong here, and that's going to be a good confidence and be a bit of a bummer for Demuslim. So let's get ready to join into map number 2. What is map number 2?
Map number 2 will be Akalon Waste.
Akalon Waste, another favourite in the King of the Hill series so far. Cloud and Akalon Waste, like the 2 maps.
They're kind of the go-to maps. Yeah, people aren't like I opted to remove Star Station because no one wanted to play on that. I had some people complain about that. I put in one of the new GSTL maps, and now so far the reaction has kind of been, "What is that map?" So we'll see. I might change it again for next week. But I like
which GSTL map is it?
DF Atlas.
I don't know that map either.
Yeah. Well. There you go.
There you go, ADBC, just throwing in those random maps that no one knows. making it a bit more difficult for some of these guys.
Better than that 2v2 map, all right? I don't like that 2v2 map.
That 2v2 map, yeah. I don't like the old beta map either. Is it Howling Peaks?
Yeah, Howling Peak. The news on Neo's on like a cavern.
Every time I load into that, I shiver. Oh, it's not a good map to play. I don't like that one too much. I think, look, because in Heart of the Swarm, if you when you are going to play ladder, there's a button that shows show maps, and it comes up with all your percentages of how you do on the maps, and that's like one of my lowest. It's like 30% or lower. So not a good one on that.
Mine is 0% on that.
Zero.
Because I think I lost 3 straight games, and I was like, fuck that, I'm out.
All right, look at that levels as well. Look at Goswser. 80 bloody 3. That's like one of the highest levels I've seen in Heart of the Swarm. I was at 62.
I
and
beat
played
some
a
guy
lot.
who was level 90.
90.
Yeah, it's
I
a
haven't
Korean
seen that
Zerg. I
many.
beat him.
Wow, it's a lot. What's it? I think 90.
I think
90. Because
yeah.
it's 30 levels per race. So he must have been playing a bit of the other races as well. I'm quite sure.
Yeah, no, you have to play all 3.
So yeah, anyway, so here we are loaded into map number 2. It is Akalon Waste, and down here in the bottom right we have E.G. the Muslim. There he is. He
is.
loves to
There's the
boogie on the
APM.
dance floor. That's one of his trademarks when he goes to these events and the after parties. He loves a dance. He does love a dance. And up to the top left, of course, the challenger, the guy winning at the moment, Millennium's Goswser, and there are his results from Iron Squid. Look at that, 2-1 against MMA in group stages, 3-0 against MVP in the round of 16, and unfortunately narrowly lost to Life in the round of 8 there, 2 wins to 3. And if he'd won that game against Life, he would have been going to the grand finals of Iron Squid number 2, and that would have been definitely his biggest point in his career. But even those results were remarkable in that tournament, and he's beating to Muslim at the moment, so we'll see if this continues through.
Yeah, it looks like the Muslim is going to play a little bit more standard this game, not...
A lot of standard builds are command center firsts in this matchup. I don't know if you feel the same there. There are some barracks refinery builds. You can even use Reapers from your main base. Just try to slow them down from your main base, transition into Hellbats from there. But as we can see with the amount of SCVs queued up, he is going to go... I mean, barracks command center used to be the normal because you're always threatened of early pools like this that can damage a command center first. But with the way that everyone walls off now inside the main base with the command center and then barracks, command centers become very valuable. And you don't need to get anything early out because of how well Queens defend in the early stages. So it seems that you're hurting your economy more so than helping it, obviously, if you're not going to open up command center first nowadays. And there we do have it down. The followers from Command Center first, though, in Heart of the Swarm, there's a lot of them. Because we've seen Met come into play a lot more. We're seeing, Widow Mines early, Hellbats early, even Cloak Banshees coming in because people aren't prepared for that anymore.
Oh.
Wow.
That's actually a pretty big mistake there to lose that drone. Really important, I find, to get that drone in, see the gas timing. Because as you said, there's so many different openings, and I mean, even off this, the Muslim could even do something cheeky like a third command center.
Absolutely, and he is a cheeky individual, and that would fit his profile well. Especially because, if you think about it, on this map, it's very difficult for overlords to get into position.
Yep.
You got one. So the second one has to protect the natural in case of bunkers, and it's never going to get to another location. So a lot of other maps that we've seen in Wings of Liberty, smaller maps, for example, Ohana, you had 2 overlords where you could come in from either angle. But on this map, there's just one. And the Muslim's going to know where it is. You can keep a Marine there, and by the looks of it, that's what he very well could be doing. He hasn't got gases down yet, and it's definitely the time for gases. It's past the time for
Way
gases. So yeah, we're going to be seeing a third command center from the Muslim here, unless he throws down a bunch of barracks all at once here for some funky Marine movement out. It should be a 3 command center build here. So, like you said, cheeky little devil. He's called the Devil Tyrant for a reason.
The Overlord, though, should
Is
see
going to
it.
get in.
I mean,
I dislike the position for the third command center, though. It's a
You'd
bit
prefer
too...
tucked back?
Yeah. He doesn't see
he
it, though.
pulled back. He doesn't see it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Because the first Marine only just popped out. And there's 2 gas.
He can poke him to see the gas timings shortly, though, and notice they're
And that
quite
should
late.
be,
And you'll be able to pick up that the command center's there anyway. So it's not the end of the world for Goswser, but he has thrown down a second gas really early and a first gas really early too. So he's going to go for a roach baneling attack most likely here. You don't. The reason why I say that is because you don't need gas early. He's not just going to get speed and try to run around with 2 gases. It's 1. You don't need 2, so I'm really feeling that he's going to build a lot of roaches. Could even see burrow. It doesn't require layer tech anymore. It's just on hatchery tech. That is a rush that some Korean Zergs have been doing. But I'm feeling again like a roach baneling attack here. We'll see. A very fast layer doesn't make sense either, because by the time that very fast layer's up, the first command center's already kicked in, the third one's kicking in, and the damage needed to be dealt against 3 command centers has to be astronomical, really. You have to knock them back to 1 base.
Overlord speed now. Now that's something you wouldn't expect to see if they're going to do that kind of all-in. But we have seen some Korean Zergs have actually been using Overlords to soak up Widow Mine hits.
Yeah,
and Widow Mines are kind of the number one thing that...
And a Spine Crawler. He's not into this. Definitely layer play. So it didn't make sense for him to get the gases so early if it was going to be layer play. But then he took away 100 gas from his plan because he threw it into Overlord speed here, which is going to be used for like fast, intelligent scouting. He's going to get the Overlord in there. It's going to have speed, and then he's going to layer. So he's going to play 2-base muter from this position. And as you said, you can't go Overlord speed if that gas is meant to be thrown into Banelings or Roaches. So it doesn't make sense. But now Goswser's plan is a bit more revealed here. And to be honest, the Muslim should want to be sending out units very shortly. The Hellions, once they pop, they will be looking eagerly for the third. And upon seeing no third base, go-to build is going to be most likely here Mutalisks.
I agree. And 2 Hellions now heading out.
Swarm hosts are not as effective against Terran, unfortunately. They're a little bit too immobile for anybody wondering if... Because we saw TLO, for example, go fast 2-base layer, fast infestation pit for Swarm hosts, but they're not so effective. But there's the infestation pit. I'd be very surprised if he tries to do Swarm hosts. Very surprised. Just because they're so immobile, you can pick up and drop on top of them and scan, instant revelation. So we'll see what this is going to be, actually. So I'm actually very intrigued here. But meanwhile, the Muslim double engineering bay, natural reaction from going 3 command centers, stim down as well, and he's found no third base. So this is the point where he either tries to sacrifice in a Hellion or scan the main base to have a look to see what tech it is. So there's the scan, actually, as I call it, in the main base, sees the infestation pit. So now he knows that he doesn't need to build turrets, and Swarm Host is going to be. So I'm very interested. I've seen no Zerg yet in Heart of the Swarm pull off an effective Swarm Host rush against Terran, or effective use of Swarm Host at all against Terran. I've seen some people use it in the mid-later stages where they run around, burrow, send off their Locusts, do damage, and run away with them again. That's the only use I've seen of them. So very excited to see this is coming down. He's getting a Baneling speed as well. Masslings. This could be like a Swarm Host Baneling speed all in.
Yeah, exactly.
On 2 base, he's got no longevity in his game. He's got no Evo chambers. He's got no third base. His drone count's probably, 45, 40? What's his drone count?
It's 50. Stopped at 50.
Okay, so proper 2-base saturation here. The Muslim sees it, and he's going to get a couple of free hits here. And is he going to be able to defend it here? This is absolutely mind-boggling. And, well, as the Locusts do swarm, he's going to have to run away, and immediately they pick up and go. This is the correct usage of the Swarm Host. Bailey speed, near completion, more and more links on the way. And if Goswser takes out Demuslim 2-0 here, he will be the king. And Demuslim gets in there, does not want to get surrounded. And 1-1 is soon to be completed. Stim likewise. Medivac's on the way. 1 Swarm Host almost down. Demuslim, surprisingly, has not added on additional bunkers here. I'm not sure if he's understanding the threat or if he's confident. Either way, 21 Banelings with speed are on the way.
And that's the thing. These Banelings will be able to kind of protect, but...
He gets 2 Swarm Hosts, and he's just picking them off.
The Banelings, I feel they're not ready in time, and Demuslim just had too many units out, but still, that's a lot of Banelings.
There's the Baneling speed. He's got a lot of Hellbats, but the Banelings detonate all the Hellbats, and Demuslim just cleans this up. And he's going to defend this easy peasy lemon squeezy as he goes in, scans and picks off the last. A interesting rush from Goswser. Absolutely interesting, but not effective. Maybe mistimed. Maybe the Baneling speed wasn't quite ready. As the Banelings were ready, maybe approached too early with the Swarm Host as well. You can look at different angles here, but at the end of the day, the Muslim nails that. But Goswser not just going to quit the game after that failed rush. He will fall back at a massive disadvantage. For anybody that can't quite see that disadvantage, 2-2 on the way. That's before the Evo's even finished. That is absolutely massive because usually Zerg are in the lead with upgrades. So the Muslim's got a massive lead here, can go take his third base, can add more production and just scale everything that he's got working for him.
Yeah, and he can go to town with the speed medvacs too, just harassing and probably never even let his opponent get a third base. So really tough spot here for Goswser. I'm really interested if maybe that attack he was expecting mech, or you just had to be expecting something different.
Well, he saw it bios so early.
Yeah, he did. He scouted
speeds.
Actually the exact composition. You're right.
Maybe he's had success with it on the ladder. But by the time that these 3 command centers kicked in, the double engineering base were ready, Stim was ready, the Muslim got a lucky shots with the Hellions in the middle of the map as well. Not lucky, but nice pick up there from the Muslim as There's no anti-air, there's no infestors, there's nothing to stop these medevacs from running wild, as you say. But he is, Goswser is still fighting on. He's got more lings on the way, upgrades on the way too. Is denying that third from being taken for now, but that will not last for much longer. But 2-2's done almost, seconds away. Well, 20 seconds away-ish for the Muslim, and he is going to clean up these lings with ease.
65 seconds, but... Well, I guess
it's close. It's close at a BC.
Maybe real life seconds.
Yeah,
You were working in real life seconds.
Totally out of BC. Totally. All right. Well, the Hellbats, by the way, were a fantastic addition to that army. Very fast thinking there from the Muslim when that attack came in to spray the splash damage of flames and glory into the incoming lings and banelings and so on, which is a nice little addition. Plus they have quite a lot of hit points as well, 135. But here comes the difficult time for Millennium's Goswser as quick scan to see any borrowed banelings, and he's about to make the potentially the killing push here. Nice fungal, but not really going to do anything to stop this army roll. And then banelings are going to be the key things here. Of course, you'll notice the infestors, they have to project their fungal out there. And to Muslim, 2-2 upgrades against 0-0 lings and banelings. It's pretty much nailed there. So GG, and the series is tied up. And to Muslim, the reigning king, 1-1. We are going to go to the third game. For the first time in the Heart of the Storm Good Studio King of the Hill, we've actually seen a equal series, because Grubby went 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and then Muslim 2-0 Grubby. So it's the first time we've actually had a 1-1 going into the third game. Thoughts on that game before we jump into the next map?
I mean, it's cool to see Swarm hosts in that matchup. It's kind of sucky to see them seemingly be worthless, so I kind of...
Is it interesting? I mean, pretty nifty rush.
I mean, when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, because you talked about how you can kind of pick them off and whatnot, but if you've got a Baneling ball sitting on top of them, then maybe you can't pick them off. But
yeah, I think it was just not quite connected together there, really. Like it was, the banelings are a little bit far behind.
And that's part of the challenge with Zerg timing attacks. You have to have everything at once. And if the Terran is out there on the map with his Hellions picking away. And I think that's actually a mistake how he moved across the map. Because as soon as those Swarm hosts set out in Zelnaga range,
but at the same time, I mean, it's a very difficult balance with any kind of timing you do. It's a very difficult balance between being fast and being efficient. Because you obviously want to do the timing as fast as you can. But then at the same time, you can't mix things up and not have it balanced together, because as we saw, if it's not connected as one, then it's not going to work. It's all about connecting the banelings with the swarm host for effective use there. But either way, we're going to be jumping into map number 3 now. What map is it?
It will be Newkirk City.
Ooh, I love this city. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. I love Newkirk City. I'm going to one day make an album, and it's going to be fucking amazing.
Bucharest, you did well.
Bucharest is my debut single. It's going to be my debut single, so whenever that comes out. I'm then going to turn the Detroit City song into Newkirk City. Have you heard that song, Detroit?
No. Who makes that?
Maybe you have to Google it. Detroit City. Anyway, game number 3 is loading in, and I quite like this map, personally.
Yeah, this
I
map,
actually have a lot of fun
initially
on it.
I was like, this map sucks, but I've actually kind of come to like it. I like the choice between different fourth bases and just how it's kind of like a easy cut in half, kind of.
I think there's choices between thirds as well, depending on whether you want to expand people or the back.
Yes, you are correct.
Either way, we can jump in and go introduce our players. So we do have over here, we have the Love to Boogie guy, at DeMuslim on Twitter. So if you want to go follow him, you can do so now as we get this game rolling. And his opponent, not one of the hardest hitters in the StarCraft 2 scene, but definitely looking to change that within Heart of the Swarm. It is Millennium's Goswser, formerly of the Complexity Academy, and rose through the ranks. It was that one MLG had a really good run, wasn't it? He was in the Academy then.
Multiple MLGs. He's kind of notorious, I feel, for taking out Korean Terrans. He took out Polt, and I think he had some good series. Just other Korean Terrans.
I mean, like we said, in Iron Squid, MMA and MVP, Polt in MLG.
Also, one of his big appearances was at the Kingston HyperX 10-year anniversary EG tournament, where he was one of the 4 qualifying players, went out to Vegas, and did pretty well there. Did moderately well, I guess. I think he got 5th out of 6. But, I mean, that was like a massive bracket of qualifying players.
Yeah, quite good there, Adebisi. I think we're going to see adaptation from Goswser in this game. I think he's going to go hatchery first here. Yeah, it's just good adaptation. You know, the Muslim had failed with it in game 1, didn't use it in game 2, and is most likely not going to do it in game number 3 with the success he had in game number 2. So I like that little adaptation there from Goswser just to kind of evolve and, you know, get ready for how the Muslim's going to play, which seems to be a preferred standard opening of Command Center first, and he's going to have the best possible economy here with hatchery, then spawning pool. Of course, can go through hatcheries before spawning pool, but even against Command Center first, you get punished rather easy with that.
And not that much benefit because, of course, queens scale your economy so well.
That's right.
I gotta say, do you have any thoughts on just general openings in this matchup? Because it seems so hard when you look at a Terran player, they'll very likely do Command Center first, and then they're also very likely to do Proxy Reaper, so...
Those seem to be the two favorite Terran vs. Zerg's opening at the moment. Reaper,
and they're
pure
opposite.
Reaper usage, or the opposite. I mean, it depends on if you say opposite. I mean, you can have Reapers proxied, you can have Reapers from the main base. Those are the two kind of Reaper builds. Whether you increase the intensity of it or not, then that's up to you, but the normal build seems to be Command Center first. A lot of Terrans, upon going Command Center first, if the game doesn't seem normal and they do scout early gas, because they usually send out an SCV relatively about now, usually, if they want to get in to see the gas timings. If they don't care, then they don't do it. But one thing I have noticed a lot, not in this game though, is that people do take early gases and are using Widow Mines for defense. Two Widow Mines, then you have the bunker and a wall off on your natural, you know, kind of wall off this area, and then you put one Widow Mine just below the bunker, and then one Widow Mine further away from the bunker. Two Widow Mines combined with 4 Marines in a bunker and SCVs repairing, you're pretty safe against the majority of all-ins that can come from Zerg, and that's something I've seen quite a lot and used a lot as well with success. So we'll see. It's not going to happen in this game though. Of course, with the third Command Center coming down, which hasn't been scouted yet. The Muslim is going to open up very similar double engineering bay. The one difference is that Terran players always used to get double engineering bays first and then add on production. It used to be that way until people were dying to Mulus or dying to mid-game roach attacks because they didn't have enough units out. They couldn't take their third fast enough because they didn't have units out. And then in the recent times that they've kind of switched roles. So you usually, and we should be seeing in this game, is the add-on of the factory, first of all, to get the initial Hellions out, potentially Widow Mines, of course, for scouting. And then straight after that is you usually see barracks to start to build an army, and then double engineering bay. Because what's the use of having super fast 2-2 upgrades if you can't get to a third base to actually increase everything overall? So we'll see as the reactor does come down on the barracks, ready to switch over. Goswser taking in a pretty fast third. So he's going to switch it up now, not going to play anything 2 base. Overload speed again. This is something that I've seen Tilo use a lot as well, which is just, as mentioned, to get in there early. Roach Warrant coming down for defensive reasons against Hellions. And yeah, just a defensive, heavy scouting, economy-focused build here from Goswser.
And Muslims starting to add in those barracks you're talking about. Should be seeing, yep, there's the third one. So
yeah, so you usually want to go to 3 to 4 barracks depending on how much you want to do, how fast you want the engineering base. 3 is fine, and then the double engineering base should be next, because you want to get the tech lab, stim, it's 125 gas, reactors if need be, double engineering bay, you know, that's 200 gas. And you just start to sink it down that way. So there comes the double engineering bay. Goswser's overload speed kicks in, and he gets in there and sees everything. Sees 3 command centers, sees the barracks, which is the follow-up after factory, and then can probably just predict that the engineering bays are going to be next from here. So he's got 100% full scouting information and reacts accordingly for him, which is a single evolution chamber, and should start some Ling production, of course, seeing those Hellions come out, and a couple of roaches too. So a handful of roaches, handful of Lings to protect himself from initial harassment here, and then he should be looking to start to drone back up once again.
Yeah, still no lair as well. So we'll see what he wants to do with his next 100 gas, because I gotta figure he should be getting his lair with that.
Yeah, it should be lair, unless he wants a couple more roaches. It's the only things he can really throw into at the moment. He starts his drone production once again, after making sure he's safe. That's all those initial units were. Meanwhile, in the Muslims' small little Barbie world, we have over here just double engineering bay, starport on the way, which is to get those medivacs rolling. Reactors been added on now to increase the barracks count. And very shortly, the Muslim will pick up and put his command center down on the close pocket third. This is where he's going to want to expand. As a Terran, you want to be expanding closer into the middle. It's a pocket expansion, which means you kind of create a triangle of defense from main base to natural to third, and also a very aggressive stance to move out from. Take the Xel'Naga Tower, and then you have the options to drop and so on. And as he takes his third base with Medivacs is usually when you want to be doing it. He'll start to add on tanks, most likely, or a reactor onto the factory. Depends how he wants to play it, whether he wants to be Marine Marauder Hellbat or Marine Marauder, or Marines in general tanks. And then we'll start to see additional barracks momentarily. But over the other hand, things cooking well for Muslim here. Goswser just +1 carapace though, only +1 carapace. Quite a few roaches being built. What's his drone count now?
Drone count currently sitting at 64.
That's good because he's basically fully saturated in minerals. He's just kind of missing a couple of gases. But apart from that, he's building a lot of roaches. So it looks like what he's planning to do now at a BC is break down Muslim from taking that third. And if he can put Muslim back on 2 bases, then he'll start to tech further than this. Get, the next stage of his tech going, an infestation pit or spire or something along this line. So that's Goswser's plan at the moment. But there are quite a few Marauders in here. And then with Hellbats, as the armory has finished, we'll see if this is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be on pure unit production right now, which is good because the Muslim is definitely moving out to pressure, but still, Zergling or Baneling speed and Roach speed both quite a ways off. And
Hellbats are freaking good against Lings, if you didn't know. So they get healed by the Medivacs. They have a massive amount of splash damage. So this surround has to be perfect from Goswser. He's already 40 supply up. Muslim is starting to push forward, and here comes Goswser. Doesn't have Baneling speed, doesn't have Roach speed, so he's not going to have the most optimal kind of attack here, but he does have a huge amount of roaches here. And he's going to get in there. He gets a pretty good set of attacks coming in. The Banelings connect decently. The Roaches survive because they have this +1 carapace, which nullify the +1 attack from the Muslim's army. And he's just going to go on the counterattack. Usually this is the time where you want to drone up and complete that third, take a fourth. But seeing how well he took that fight and how well he won it, he immediately just bounces back. So the Muslim now doesn't have a bunker down that third. He doesn't have protection for it. And he's going to lift it. He's going to have to... I can't see him holding this with Baneling speed going to finish, with Roach speed going to finish. Goswser could actually take the Muslim and put him back on 2 bases really easily here.
Yeah, needs to be careful. Might not want to get a little bit over-eager here with those Banelings almost finished. But it might just not even matter, man. No siege tanks here, no Widow Mines, nothing, no splash damage to really defend.
He's actually going to walk straight up here. Goswser with Baneling speed connecting actually can bring down Muslim with this attack. And Muslim picks up everything, is panicking at the last moment here, drops everything in his main base. Not only did his third get compromised, which is expected, his natural as well. Muslim tries to get everything back into the main base, and he will take a bit of damage from a couple of those Banelings here, but it seems like he will push these Roaches back, but there's a lot of Lings behind it. And
Goswser's done it, I think. There's really no coming back from this. 20 workers killed, the main and natural, Havoc, and still 61 drones, 4th base on the way, attack upgrades on the way.
He's done it. He's made the right choices. He had the right way to play this game out, and he's done it. As simple as that. He's beaten the current king by the looks of it here. With all these units coming, the Muslim has minimal chances to stay in this game, despite 2-2 on its way, a clear class in terms of upgrades over Goswser. But the sheer quality, the sheer quantity of units that we have Goswser putting out there, there's nothing the Muslim would do. You can try to micro his little heart out and his little fingers out, but this is going to be almost impossible. Bunkers coming down, a lot of them too, because he knows that this is not over. But Goswser looking to take his first win within the Good Studio Heart of the Swarm King of the Hill series here, and he does it with fashion. Taking the first game with a proxy hatchery, loses the second, whoopsie daisy, as the Muslim is dead and gone at the moment.
Yeah, he's hanging on for dear life. He does have tons of Marines popping in at once, but he was down to, I think, like 3 army supply there for a second.
Yeah.
I just can't see it happening, and during all this, a big round of about 16 drones popped out. Spire on the way. Now 2-2 on the way. The Muslim keeping going with his +3 attack.
He is sticking in there. These upgrades have done him well, but the thing is that there's 4 fully saturated bases now. I'm really trying to grab everything together in my mind. How is the Muslim going to really keep in this game? And yes, he's got good upgrades, but he's lacking in terms of SCVs. He's got a decent army size. What's his SCV count now?
Down to 34.
34 to 63, double the
83.
Income. 83. Sorry, I really have bad eyesight. But the thing is, the Muslim, all that Goswser needs to do is just have time and just keep knocking the Muslim back. And the longer this game goes on, the better it's going to be for Goswser, who just has such a great income. And the Muslim fighting valiantly here is trying to stay in the game. Was supply blocked at 97. Is back up to 105 supply there. And, well, maybe underestimated the Muslims' defense, but at the end of the day, it's still 75 supply, and if it's not over yet, at least Goswser has a massive advantage here. 17 Banelings on the way. The Muslim's got to be careful. He's going to probably have to lift up if he's not going to be able to kite all the way here. There's a lot of Banelings being morphed. Mueller's Lings on the way too. 2-2 about to match the Muslims' upgrades. Will the Muslim be able to hold this third against the Ling, Roach, Baneling, Muta attack here? Well, he's going to drop at the same time, so he's missing 16 units or so.
I don't think there is actually anything at home, and so this is the kind of risk he needs to take, but if he loses everything he has... Well, these Banelings are really not connecting too well, though. Command Center likely to burn down here.
Yeah, so it's back to 2 bases for the Muslim, and now Goswser has to go back to defend here. Nice drop by the Muslim. The Muslim doing everything he can to not be kicked off the throne here in the first game of day number 2. And he is fighting really intelligently. Remember the Marines and Marauders
Look at the supply. Look how close the
Lings.
supply has gotten.
I can't believe this here. With 2-2 completing, that will make things easier. More and more Banelings on the way. And all Goswser has to do is stay calm, keep going, morph Banelings. That's kind of what you need to do at this point, because there's nothing the Muslim has to beat Banelings. The Muslim's going to go up there, though. He's going to take out this 4th base.
This base is so exposed.
He is building another 3rd command center of his own back at home. This base is exposed. Goswser is going to get there in time, though. The income's still heavily in favor of Goswser. The Muslim is going to try and get in here, but there's a lot of Lings and Brainlings coming in. 2-2 was now completed, which makes these Lings a little bit better here, but the Muslim needs a micro for his life here. Good hits there, but still a couple of units left over. Spawning Pool was killed, by the way, too, which means Lings cannot be made, only Roaches at this point. But
no, Spawning Pool, he actually remade it, just thinking it would die.
Oh, he actually doesn't know it's there. He's building Roaches. And another Spawning Pool, never mind. But yes, so at this point, the Muslim has had that army. It's done the most it could do. And now here comes the stunt in his economy, where he's running out of steam, running out of gas. The Mutalists are coming in. He's got no turrets. He threw everything into army for one last stretch, one last push. And now Goswser is able to maintain 100, roughly, shortly under 100 supply lead. And as Apollo strings his words together, the Mutalists bring down these SCVs, or a couple of them at least. And the next wave is coming. And this wave, as I've said it before, and I'll say it again, I'm not sure if the Muslim can hold this one. Double the army supply, more than double the worker supply to Muslim, with one last stand here against Millennium's Goswser, the American training in Europe versus the European training in America. As we do have 14 more Banelings
29
being morphed.
Banelings finishing. Yeah.
This may be a bit too hard to hold, as the Banelings come in. A handful of units here. The Muslim attempts to hold, spreads as much as he can, but there just seems to be too much here. Goswser maintains a 100 supply lead, breaks through for the final time. A good, valiant effort here from the Muslim. I've got a bit of deja vu at the moment, as I was seeing this a couple of moments ago, and we'll see if the Muslim can hold again, but I don't think it's going to happen this time, as the units do break through. The Muslim down to 20 supply, and Goswser now, a couple of 5 minutes later, I pulled in out of beast to cast the Dota on us with the GG anytime here. But there we do have Goswser dethroning the king, banking himself $125 out of the $500 up for grabs today, is moving on to play against Mouse Sports Hasriobs. Words for that series. What do you think about that series?
You know, I think it all goes back to that time when the Muslim moved out. He was pretty much playing blind. He hadn't scanned. He hadn't really... He poked with Hellions to the 3rd base, but that was it. And if he had known Goswser was just on pure unit production, then he's like, oh, well, you've made a shitload of Roaches. I'm just going to lean back, make some Widow Mines, tanks, sit there.
Bunkers on 3rd.
Exactly.
I mean, if you look at the way that Goswser played it out, which, as you said, which is probably one of the biggest points, a lack of information, was there wasn't a second evolution chamber. There was no rush towards layer to continue going upgrades. So if Tim was playing against a normal Zerg play, then surely he's going to break in there as upgrades are being made, as Banelings are being morphed, because you can't afford mass amount of Roach production alongside Ling double upgrades Baneling production too. So he was playing a standard game in his eyes and of what he thought a Zerg would be doing. But Goswser, as you said, was building a lot of units very early to defend against that push, to move out for a possible counterattack, and nailed it.